Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be taking a look at something that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. It's got some positives, got some negatives. We're going to talk about both of those today. So we're going to be taking a look at the Magpul Bipod. Okay, so this is my Aero Precision 6.5 Creedmoor upper. It's a very nice upper. It's got a 22-inch bull barrel. It's extremely accurate, but at the same time, it's also extremely heavy. Without any glass, rings, or anything else attached to it, this thing's coming in at about 7 pounds. And so I didn't want to have to add any unnecessary weight to this thing, but I feel like with a 6.5 Creedmoor 22-inch barrel, a bipod is kind of a prerequisite. You got to have it, right? And so I started looking around for something that didn't break the bank, came in at a lightweight, still had a decent amount of extension on it, and the Magpul fit the bill. As far as weight goes on this thing, I think it's coming in at around 11 ounces. There are some different mounting options out there, and so each one might weigh just a little bit different than the other. We'll take this thing off, we'll put it on a scale and see exactly what it weighs. But at 11 ounces, that's pretty good. You still get 10.3 inches of total extension. You get pan, you get swivel, and so again, it kind of fit the bill for me. And so I've been using it for quite a while now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing to the table. I'll show you guys a little bit more up close, some of the details and features of it, and we'll talk about those positives and negatives, and some of the negatives that I'm kind of seeing online that to me just really don't seem like that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So let's go ahead and move that camera to the table. Okay, so here's a closer look at our bipod. Now, if we were just talking about looks alone, this is, to me, at least in my opinion, one of the nicest looking bipods on the market. It's very well put together, it's slim, it's got a nice design, no big springs sticking out of it or anything like that. It's just a good looking design, right? It's mostly polymer. It does have some metal construction on it. The metal parts are going to be the screws that hold in the legs. This little bottom knob right here, which is how you adjust your tension, that bottom knob does have some pretty nice knurling on it, so a little bit loose, and that's going to allow you to make your movements both pan and tilt, and then tighten it down. That'll lock everything into place. The other part that's going to be metal is the part that attaches to your rail, so be it Picatinny or M-lock or a sling swivel stud, this part right here is going to be metal, but it is mostly polymer in construction, which is again what you would expect from Magpul. They make really nice polymer products. Now when we're talking about weight, let me go ahead and bring in my scale real quick, because like I was saying before, with the 3 different mounting systems, I'm sure you're going to get 3 different weights out of this thing, and I'm not sure exactly what the weight is. I just know it's around 11 ounces. So if we zero that thing out, we set this thing up here, we get exactly 11.5 ounces. So 11.5 ounces for the M-lock version, which really isn't too bad at all. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the features and how to use them. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about some of those features. So with this thing, you get a pretty good amount of pan and tilt. The head pans and tilts. You get a lot of motion out of this thing. If you want to tighten up that motion, all you have to do is simply tighten down on this large knob in the back a little bit, and that will add some tension to both the pan and tilt simultaneously. But you do get a little bit of tilt, which is nice. So if you're trying to keep that optic level, if you're trying to keep it level, which is going to affect both your windage and elevation and any adjustments that you make thereafter, you want to keep it level, you're able to do that with this amount of tilt. Also, you get a pretty good amount of pan. So if you have a moving target and you need to adjust just a little bit, you can see that we can go ahead and pan this thing all the way over. But there are some people out there who like to lock everything down nice and tight, and they don't like that pan at all. They want to lock this thing down, and there actually is a way to lock this. If we take a look here, and I know it's a little bit difficult to see, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys real quick here. Sorry for the bouncing. But if you take a look right here, it says lock, and then on the other side, right here, it says pan, and that's because you can actually lock out the pan movement on this thing, and it's fairly easy to do. All you have to do is simply go back here to your tensioner and unscrew that all the way. It's not going to come off. It actually comes to a stopping point. So we just go ahead and we unscrew that all the way until it stops, because we need as much movement as we can have. So we unscrew that, and then what we do is we go ahead and we align this with the little cup. So you can see if we turn this sideways, there's kind of this little cutout right here. You want this thing to be kind of lined up with that, and then you want to pull up on that little center cap. So let's see if I can show you right here. So it kind of pulls up like this. You can see it's kind of, you know, separated. And then all you do is you simply, it locked itself down, simply turn itself around so that lock and pan are on the opposite sides, and then screw that thing back down. And that's it. That locks out your pan. So now if we put our tensioner on a little bit so it's not just all over the place, and I bring this back down, it has no more pan. Still has the tilt, all the tilt that you want, but it no longer pans. So if you're somebody who wants to lock out that pan with this, you can do that. Now the way that the legs work on these, if you want to fold the legs down, all you have to do is simply pull them down, and then they'll lock into place. If you want to fold them back up, there is a button located right here. All you have to do is simply push on that button and the leg will come right back up, but it locks into place when it goes down. If you want to extend the leg out, there is a button on the back of the leg right there. All you have to do is simply push down on that and then go ahead and extend out your leg, and it's going to be the same on both sides. So just go ahead and push down on that, extend it out, and then let me go ahead and move this so you guys can see this a little bit better. But in order to make your adjustments, you can see that we have these notches right here. So while you're pushing down on that button, find the position that you want and then release the button. It'll lock into place in that particular position right there. And you do get a pretty nice audible click, and you can kind of feel it right along each one. So if you know you want to come down just a couple notches, just go down a couple notches, lock that thing into place, and you're good to go right there. Again, same on both sides. Now the nice thing about this is that it's very easy to adjust. If you're at an angle, you're on a slope or something like that, obviously all you have to do is simply leave one side in, extend out the other side. That's going to reach out further than the other one. So if you're on a slight slope or an incline and you want a little bit more ability to make it a little bit more level, you can do that simply by adjusting each one at a different height. One thing that I've heard people complain about, and this is definitely one of the downsides to this, is that there is some wobble when the legs are extended. Now, from everything that I've heard, people talking about Magpul and people that know people at Magpul and stuff like that, they say that that's specifically there for when you want to put a load on this thing. So when you have this attached to your rifle and you want to put a load on it, so you're putting a little bit of pressure on some type of object that's in front of you and you want to just be able to, you know, give it a good push on that thing, that little bit of wobble is supposed to give you enough give where you can kind of put a load on this and you're not going to have an issue. I've seen people say that they wouldn't buy it just for the wobble that you get out of these legs, but to me the wobble seems minimal, and when I put the weight of my rifle down on the ground and it has any type of forward pressure on it or rearward pressure on it at all, it's still to me 100% stable. While I'm just sitting here like this, I can get a little bit of a wobble out of it. But again, when it's on the ground and I have any type of pressure on it at all, that wobble goes away and it's no longer there. So I can definitely see that being an issue for some people. I can also see the fact that this thing has legs that are completely polymer. I can see that being an issue for people. And that's kind of why I say it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I love this thing for all of its features, but again, it's one of those things where it's been out for a while. So I can say by now we could say that it's not going to fail on you. I mean, I haven't seen anybody say that their legs have broken, but still, the fact that they're made of polymer kind of gets into some people's head. The fact that it has a little bit of wobble, it's another thing that can kind of get into your head where you want a stable shooting platform, but this thing has a little bit of wobble. But for me, it works fine. So I have nothing negative to say about it in those terms. It works fine, but I do wish they could make it a little bit tighter. I'm not going to lie. If they could make this thing a little bit tighter and just, you know, a little bit less flex, a little bit less give, I think it would increase my confidence in it, so to speak. So if I had a little bit more confidence in it, I know that I could use this for whatever scenario I want. But for now, it just sits on my 6.5, which is just a long-range shooter. So for that, and for those people that have issues with that, I totally understand. But it doesn't seem to have been an issue for anybody that's actually used one of these or had one of these for a significant amount of time. So it works nice. Again, it has all the features I think a lot of people would be looking for at a good price point. You know, these bipods get really expensive. I mean, if you're out there and you're looking at brands like AccuTac and stuff, again, those things start around $300 and then start working their way up. And other brands as well. And other cheaper brands like, let's say, UTG, they don't work as well. So this, to me, kind of lands right in that price point where you get all the features and the things that you want, like weight and size and all that stuff. But again, without breaking the bank and, you know, I think it's a great bipod. If we were just to break this review down to just that, it's a great bipod. It's worked really well for me. I've had no issues with it. You know, you can change out the feet on this thing, so if you want to put something that's a little bit more like a spike to be able to dig down in there, you can do that. There's different feet that you can buy for it that are interchangeable. You know, and again, it's a bipod, right? I mean, how much can you really say about a bipod? Does it work or does it not work? This one definitely works, and it has all the great features, so it's worth at least taking a look at. I don't think that if somebody bought this, they'd be disappointed at all. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. Again, this is the Magpul Bipod. If you guys want that discount code over at Optics Planet, it's daily, just discount code daily. You can check out links and stuff like that directly over at my website. Again, check out the Firearms Policy Coalition and become a member of the USCCA. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Have a great day.